Well, here we are on a sunny afternoon on Wednesday, the 3rd of September 2025. This smoothly oiled machine is just sliding into action. With myself, David Tavener, I don't know why I'm chuckling there, Jake Ellacott.
Well, we won't tell the listeners that just before we started recording, your last sentence was, "Oh, my curtains have fallen down." So it is a very smoothly run operation this afternoon.
How you
He
doing,
lost
Lee?
his twits.
How are your curtains?
My curtains are very good, mate. A lot more stable than yours, I dare say.
Evidently, yes, yes. Right, FA Cup. We are looking back on last Saturday, FA Cup first round qualifying. Aylesbury Vale Dynamos 1,
What a game.
St Albans City 3. We're victorious. One of the players tweeted afterwards, so I sent a message saying, job done. Let's get going. My God, we made hard work of that job, didn't we? First half, Aylesbury, Spartan South Midlands Premier Division, two divisions below us, and it looked it in that first half, I thought. We were very, very comfortable on the ball. It wasn't even particularly fast paced. We had so much possession. Really, it was boring because it was just so easy, so comfortable for us. Got an early headed goal from Alex Wall, 10 minutes, 14 minutes later, Harrison Smith headed in the second, and we just thought it was going to be a procession. And unfortunately, did the players think that as well? Because that second half performance, as everybody has told me, and as the manager has told us as well, was absolutely shocking. We made a right pig's ear of it in the second half. They got to go back with a penalty. It looked a soft penalty, I must admit. When what was his name? Finlay Reeves beat Magnus Norman from the penalty spot. And then we were hanging on, weren't we, towards the end? They had half chances rather than clear chances. Magnus did make a couple of good saves during the game. And then we got that breakaway goal right on time when Troy Perez-Dewar settled it once and for all. 3-1. Not as convincing as it suggests?
Ooh, go on, Lee.
No, but what I would say, again, we created quite a lot of chances. We were really wasteful in front of goal. And even when we were under cosh a little bit in the second half, we had a couple of glorious opportunities that we were so wasteful. And we spoke last week, didn't we, about the threat of a really potent striker. And I think that if we had one on display, we could have been at least another couple of goals to the good. And that then just sort of calms things down. I think at 2-0, it's that scoreline, isn't it? 2-0. The next goal is the most important one. But look, I do echo what you said, Tabs. We went in it maybe, there was quite a lot of talk in the fans before the game. Scorelines are sort of 3-0, 4-0. Someone even said 7-1, 8-1. It was that sort of predictions. And I think, as you say, the first half an hour, it certainly looked as though that could have been on the cards. But then second half, we came out. I don't know what happened, boys, but we almost invited them onto us. And I don't think we've got the cohesion just yet to repel like an onslaught consistently. And we won't do it from some of the better sides in our division, let alone Aylesbury Vale Dynamos.
Jake?
Yeah, I think those are fair summaries. I think a lot of the response. I think Culverhouse's post-match, I think, was quite telling again, as it has been a couple of times this season already, about his displeasure with the performance. Mostly, obviously, happy with the result. On the drive home, Lee, we were chatting, weren't we? And we did talk about those chances at the end. Mava, Perez-Dewar, all of them. Like it could have been 4-5-1. But you also can't ignore that, 20 minutes, half an hour during the second half, where it didn't feel inevitable maybe that we were going to end up 2-2, but it felt like, well, this is we're trying to give our best tribute act to St Albans City sides of previous seasons here, going out to the cup in embarrassing fashion. It was poor. And for me, the substitutions didn't work when they made those changes. And I think, Dave, your suggestion of maybe did the team think they'd won it? Potentially, because that first half was so easy. It was quite nice. It's been a few years since we've had that sort of game. But maybe that just got to the players. And I think, Lee, we were always quite confident, were we? But it's fair to say other Saints fans around us were, is it nervous? Maybe a good word, maybe even more so than that. So you can see why Culverhouse and those fans that were there maybe were disappointed in certain aspects of the display.
It's funny all those high scores people went for and whatnot. Only one person actually predicted a 3-1 win. It just shows the absolute muppets I have to working around me. I won't bring that up. But if people say we're being overcritical of a team, particularly for our second half performances, some of the comments from supporters, they were really scathing. But the most scathing of a lot came from the manager, Ian Culverhouse. He said, we are a long way away from where we want to be. This side is a long way away from where we want to be. Now, two ways of looking at that. Does it mean the players he's got are not performing to the levels he expects, or have we not got a good enough side? At the moment, from what we've had, one really good performance in 6 games, and that comfortable first half Saturday, I would suggest the side just isn't good enough. He's got a lot of work still to get it right. It would be nice to think he has got the players there and he can turn it around. What do you think? What that angle?
I think that's probably more on the money. I think it's fair to say, by all intensities, that the players don't have the quality that perhaps some of the fans would expect. We've had to delve into the lower leagues to get these players. But I reckon there have been signs there. I mean, look, we've got good players there, and we have said this. It's just a matter of getting them all to come together. We are creating chances. I think that what Ian Culverhouse is, when he's talking in the post-match, he's talking to the players, isn't he, really? He's not really talking to the fans. He's talking subliminally to the players. The players know that some of the performances have been below par. And I think some of the results of late have certainly papered over quite a lot of the issues that we've still got to address. I think the midfield is a massive, massive sort of chasm at the minute. I think we're lacking some real quality in the middle. We're getting the ball forward quick enough, but again, wasteful in front of goal. We're looking shaky under pressure. But again, these things can be ironed out. It's just a matter of how quickly Ian and Bazza get sort of to do that, really.
Oh, these are players who can iron them out, though, Leeds. 3 defeats in the last 4 league games.
Oh, God.
No, I know what you're saying, mate. And
It's a fair question, Jake.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Jake, we were quite critical of the chances that we wasted, weren't we? We were talking about it in the car. But ultimately, I think what we have to look at is the result was there. 3-1 in the cup. Don't forget there were some teams who went out to lower league opposition at the weekend, as is always the case. I think that we had enough in the tank. Look, if we scored those chances, one in the first half, at least 2 or 3 in the second half, that's a 4-5-0 game, and then it doesn't look as bad on paper. But ultimately, I know what you're saying, Tavs, and the season is ramping up. We're into the 7th or 8th game now, and it's just a matter of whether players are learning from their mistakes, mate.
Yeah, you're right about other teams did slip up. You got Cheshunt that went down 2-1 at home to Leiston. Dulwich 2-0 up at home to Whitstable, went down 3-2. Lewis lost at Flackwell Heath. Canvey Island 2-0 at Malden Tiptree. One that's not in our league, of course. Weymouth lost to, you might know their name. I can't remember the other team's name. It's somebody really low down. So it does happen. And maybe we should just take it as that player says, job done, on we go. But that is having rose-tinted glasses. You've got to be aware of our failings. Otherwise, we are going to come unstuck.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing about Ian Culverhouse is he clearly is aware of our failings, right? Again, last season, we're not being peddled this narrative of, things are not great, but it will get better. Whereas at the minute, it's actually, things aren't great at the minute, and I'm very aware of that, and we're trying to get the team working on it. I still think it's pretty early days, and I think there are players of real quality in this squad. I wonder if those players just aren't stepping up for whatever reason or just haven't been able to yet. I've probably got more confidence than some others do, but I think Culverhouse's honesty is great, but also does make you concerned as to actually, well, if that's what he thinks, and what are fans going to think with even less exposure to the first team, training, etc., etc. So, yeah, it feels like a pivotal few weeks, but like we've all said, at least we're through. After previous seasons, that wasn't always guaranteed with this football club. So, I didn't want to revisit Galston last season. So at least we're through and we're in the next round.
It's funny, isn't it? With Alex Walnut and Harrison Smith getting the 2 goals, you think, great, that's your 2 main strikers. That should give everybody a lift. But that's not the way we've come away at the end of the game, sadly.
No, I mean, I thought both of them were okay at times. You saw how delighted Harrison was with his goal. In the sense, I think he was just happy to get on the score sheet this
Relieved, mate, I
season.
think, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I think that's a better word for it. Alex Wall was Alex Wall. I mean, he does his work. I think Lee, it was quite interesting at one point, wasn't it? It was very quiet, and we just heard a very loud shout from the management team to Harrison. And not long after, he was replaced by Jasper Mather. So I think there's obviously things to work with there at the minute, and I think question mark is obviously Harrison Smith. You hope he's going to be your number one up front, but then who's he going to be partnered alongside? I think midway through the half, Lee, we both sort of said to each other, there's no real partnership there with Wall and Smith at the minute, is there? Obviously, they've not really played together before, but it doesn't look like it, and it needs time. But if that's not the partnership, then Leo Seri, but then he's out of favour at the minute. So, a lot of questions in those forward areas still, and it feels like that's unfortunately going to be a running theme for however long it drags on for.
And also, you got George Sipic you can chuck in there, came on a sub. But at the moment, I don't think any of us see him as anything more than a sub. We don't see a starting place for him, I wouldn't have thought.
No, I agree. And I didn't mind the selection actually on Saturday because I thought Ian and Bazza have obviously looked at the calibre of the opposition and thought, right, this is just made for Wall and Harrison Smith. Let's just push them back, give them something really to sort of, to try and cope with. Big, strong. Let's try and bully them. Let's try and pin them back in their box. It worked. I mean, listen, I don't think after 20, 25 minutes of the first half, we thought anything other than a good score and ultimately what was looking like a decent performance.
Yeah.
Balls into the box, connection, good headers, set pieces. The delivery is still a little bit lacking in terms of quality, but that'll come, I guess. But I didn't mind the selection because the thing is, Leo Seri is going to be a fantastic player for us. However, there's no point in ragging him into the ground because I don't think it would have benefited from us sort of doing that so early on in the season. There's going to be better teams for him to play his trade against over the course of the next month, certainly at least. Wall and Harrison Smith I liked on Saturday, but I think as Jake said, mate, it's whether it works. Yes, Harrison Smith was sort of brought in to sort of try and salvage our season back into last year. Wall is obviously his comeback this season, slimmer, stronger, a bit more hungrier for goals. He looks a bit more of a handful, but it's Tabs. It's whether they can work together, mate. Is going to be the headache, and we can't keep going through games being so wasteful because we're going to get punished big time.
Well, it's 2 goals in 12 games for Alex Wall since he joined us, and 4 in 22 for Harrison Smith since he joined us from Stevenage. But will it work putting 2 battering rams up front? Do you need a little more finesse alongside them? And have we got that player, Jasper Mather? Bits about his play alike. And he's had 2 decent seasons goals-wise, just about 30 league goals in his 2 previous seasons. So you would have thought he'd be the foil for one of those 2. But we're not seeing it at the moment. And when he comes on, he tends to be out in a wide position.
Yeah, I think having 2 battering rams I think could potentially work at this level, but you need other players out wide and behind them that can do the leg work, get the bit of skill in, get a bit of pace getting running behind. And that wasn't particularly there on Saturday. And again, when Mather came on and was stuck on the left-hand side, again, I think we were a bit like, that's not really working there for me. And again, central midfield, on Saturday for me, with all our possession at times, it just didn't seem to be much energy there and much driving forward. There's a couple of loose passes, a couple of loose touches. And for parts of the game, I just thought, again, is this a midfield that would necessarily take control of an Isthmian League game? I wouldn't particularly say so at the minute.
Ian made 3 changes going into the side. Obviously, Michael Bostwick was suspended and Maffer and Seri were placed on the bench. In came Jack James. In came Riley Scott. And, of course, Alex Wall we've already talked about. Riley Scott, he received decent reviews before he joined us, although he was in a struggling side last season. Where was it, at Dulwich?
Yeah.
Hasn't really set things alight as yet. Is that fair to say?
I think it's fair, but I wouldn't take that as a criticism. I think everyone's universally struggled at the minute.
Mm.
I liked it. I mean, he played well in the first few games. I thought he really put himself around in pre-season as well. You can see the intent was there. I don't think he's going to be a majestic passer of the ball. I think he's like a box-to-box midfielder. I think he'll sort of get stuck in. And Jake, to your point, mate, I don't mind having the bully boys up front. But then when you have the wingers, it does leave a massive chasm in the middle of the park. And I think Scott is sort of left exposed quite a lot of the time there, which is unfortunate for him because he's a good ball player. His ball retention is on the whole really, really good. And he likes to make those darting runs into the box quite late as well. So he's got aspects to his game, Taz, which I think is going to be beneficial to us. But I think he is being quite exposed at the minute with the style and the formation in which we're playing.
From a Dynamos point of view, you wonder if they gave us too much respect in that first half. And had they got at us like they did in the second half, would have been able to get on top like they did in the second. Something we never know, of course. They may have thought maybe we'd try and take this thing out of the game and try and contain us, and it failed miserably. In the latter stages, they really got at us. I want to play tribute also to their little right back, number 20. Ben Kellaway. He's only 16. And I thought he did really well. He wasn't overawed. He's obviously going to be out-muscled by our front line. But I thought he gave a very good account of himself.
He was prime target, wasn't he, for a little bit of abuse. And we were gearing up for it, Jake. But I have to say, Matt, and I turned around to you and said this exact same thing. He was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Didn't give the ball away. You know, it made me die because their number 3, I couldn't say who he was, but he kept showing for the ball at goal kicks. The keeper didn't trust him at all. He wasn't getting anywhere near that ball, mate. But yeah, you know, as I say, the little fella, it was absolutely amazing. Really, really. I mean, he put his heart into it, bless him. And you know, they got a good little player there because he made things happen. He tried to make things happen, and he did the simple things right. And at that level, FA Cup, that's all you can really ask for.
You two were both behind the goal, so Harrison Smith came over and slapped hands with you when he scored. But there was good City support behind the goal. A crowd of 407 they eventually gave. I think it was about their 3rd edition of a crowd. But our lot, they had a higher percentage of fans there. Surprisingly muted. Did it feel that way behind the goal? Certainly, but from the side of the pitch, it seemed fairly quiet.
Yeah, I think what I would say is there was more expectancy than I think that's what it was. And I think people saw this as a gimme. They saw the quality of the opposition and thought, oh, we're going to have these boys on toast, no problem. And for a large part of the first half, as I said, it did look that was the case. The ground wasn't really conducive to sort of seeing. And even though there was a covered end, there's probably more water inside the roof than what there was outside of it. Yeah, I know what you're saying, Tavs. But the thing is, the boys can't bring the noise every single week, especially when you are, call it arrogance, call it naivety, call it whatever you want, mate. I think everyone, City fans, went there expecting a good win. And if the performance came with that as well, mate, then that's an extra bonus. Yeah.
You didn't think of getting the chanting going then, Jake? You're just standing there watching, taking it all in?
I was enjoying too much, just getting wet. So that was really fun. That was a great Saturday, wasn't it, Lee?
How'd you get a cup, mate? And
we were too busy doing some updates on social media. So, but you know, it was all right. It was good following from the Saints fans.
Oh, look what we done now.
Well, Jake, it's funny you should mention that, isn't it? The club apparently didn't do a Twitter feed. What was the reason they gave, Jake? You can enlighten us.
Technical difficulties, I believe they said, wasn't it, Lee? So
Well, technical problems, so we couldn't do a Twitter feed. Funny, your Twitter was working. You managed to do updates, I believe. So you told me after the game. I haven't got round to reading them yet, but I expect they're good. And Aylesbury managed to do the TV with video filming was working. People's Twitter around the ground seemed to be working. Wasn't the club unlucky, but they just couldn't get it working, rather than they didn't have anybody to do it on the day, which is what some people outrageously suggested.
I will say, 10 years ago, you definitely weren't calling my tweets good, Dave. And we went, but we...
No one was, buddy, but that's okay. We live
10 years on, Jake.
That's all it was.
Nothing's changed, believe me.
Brutal.
Right. We mentioned clubs been knocked out of the FA Cup by lower league opposition. In the next round, we could have been playing either Potters Bar Town for twice in 6 days, or Hitchin Town, recently relegated from whichever division in the Southern League they were in. And Hitchin won a replay Monday night, 2-0. So we go over to Topfield on the 13th of September. So our home game against Lewis in the league is off. We'll only touch on it very briefly now because we'll do more next week. It's going to be intriguing, isn't it? Hitchin, they've had 2 or 3 really bad years after that growth of kids coming through. It looked like their future was going to be rosy, and it didn't work out. Now, hopefully, they are starting to rebuild again. Quick thoughts on that game?
Well, I've got some inside information. Basically, so it was Mark Burke, who was their manager for what seemed about 105 years. He's stepped down, but he's still retained as their commercial manager or community liaison officer or whatever. They've got a whole new board this summer, new investment. They're looking to develop Topfield as well. There's plans been announced this week, ambitious, and given the fact they've had some torrid times over the past 2 or 3 years, as Dave said, this new ownership, they're really looking to make waves, and they cannot wait for St Albans City to go to Topfield. And what I would say, and it doesn't need me to say this to anybody behind the scenes at City, we have to be on top of our form, because if we're not, they are really up for this. They fancy it, and they want to make a big impression. The board, they are expectant. They want to see results both on and off the pitch, and they've highlighted the St Albans City FA Cup game as something to make Hitchin sort of sit up and take notice of. So yeah, interesting.
I imagine you're looking forward to it, Jake.
Well, it's a proper FA Cup tie, isn't it? Topfield away. It's gonna be a fun one, and I think is it fair to say quite a few Saints fans were quite glad to see Hitchin win the replay instead of having to go back to Potts Bar again. I mean, once in the season's enough. Let alone however many times we end up going there this campaign. Dave, why are you shaking your head?
You can't go around slagging off your opposition. Just stick to our club. Right. We're at Hitchin, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago in the COVID season, the FA Cup, first game of the season it was, and beat them 5-0, but which not really representative. But they've got that big terrace there, concrete terrace. Well, they've got that from when they beat us, I think it was 1995. They beat us 2-1 in the final qualifier around the FA Cup. They went on to beat Bristol Rovers, not Bristol City, who we shared 11 goals with once. They beat Bristol Rovers in, I think it's the first round, and the money they got from that paid for that terrace. So they've got a lot to be grateful to us for, and I hope they show that gratitude when we go there a week on Saturday.
Oh, no. God. Well, that's Dave banned from Topfield.
Well, I sang their praises, for Christ's sake. I've always liked Hitchin, ever since they had the daffodils across in front of the main stand, which I used to have. Right, before that, we got a league game. We've got 2 league games. We're away to Aylesbury on Saturday. Isthmian League Premier Division. They beat Hashtag United 3-0 in the FA Cup Saturday. Both sides, of course, play at Parkside. Aylesbury came down with us last season. Not made too bad a start this year. Just quickly looking through their squad, they've got Adam Bailey Dennis. I remember seeing him getting sent off down the park when he was playing for Braintree. God, it was years ago. So I was sitting next to Willisey, I think, David Willisey. And Adam came and sat next to us. No remorse about what he'd done. I had to do it as he took a bloke through as he went through. And of course he did, mate. That's what skillful footballers do. Anyway,
it's tough. I can't make the Aylesbury game, mate, but I'm really looking forward to the highlights afterwards so I can sort of catch up
Well, like last season. They're going online soon, aren't they?
Yeah, apparently.
Right, what do we make of Aveley then? Let's have a look. Where are they in the league? They doing much? Never heard of them. They are 10th in the table, only lost 1 out of 5. So, of course, they're above us, 4 points above us. We need to make up some ground, don't we? If we are going to make a serious bid for the playoffs, we're already 7 points outside it. Ridiculous after just 5 games.
Well, I'm not quite sure you get any medals for after September, mate. But but are you? I mean, okay, 7 points. Yes, okay. Are you really looking at it seriously? Are you looking at it now in that context where we're X number of points, or is it just a case of just play your next game and see what happens?
Well, you don't want to play your next game and see what happens and lose again. That puts us in a bit of a problem. We kept doing this last season. It's going to come all right. It's going to come right. Oh, hang on, we've run out of games. We've been relegated. We can't afford to do that again. We've got to hit some form soon. And 3 defeats in our last 4 games, league games, doesn't suggest we're about to hit it soon. Unlucky to lose the last one against Cheshunt. No two ways about that. But unlucky because we couldn't finish. It was their own fault. And Cheshunt also could have done what we did to Aylesbury. They kept having a load of breakaways late in the game, and they didn't take them. So it happens. But are we confident? In presumably Michael Bostwick will come back in. And you think who goes out? It's not going to be an easy game, overly.
No, it's not. And I think a lot of it's going to depend on if we take chances. I think that's maybe the theme of the last couple of games, and I wouldn't be shocked if that continues. That they've not lost many, as you say, Dave. So we know it's going to be a bit of a fight. It wasn't exactly. Well, I mean, there was a lot of goals last time we played there, from my memory at least. But it wasn't a pretty game, was it, per se? And I can't expect a pretty one on Saturday. This is proper Ishmael League now. Aveley away on a Saturday in early September. It's going to be hard. I think Bostwick will come in. Jack James will probably drop out, won't he? But then otherwise, where do you see the changes in the team? Will he go 2 up top? I think we should. But then it's who are those 2? And then it's the midfield. Does Riley Scott stay in, or do we bring in someone else? A lot of question marks around the team at the minute. I think Culverhouse and Basil will certainly, again, going off the post-match, be spending a lot of time trying to perfect that starting 11 for Saturday.
Yeah. I'm not confident, but...
When are you ever?
Well, yes. One of us predicted a 3-1 win last Saturday, and one of us has got 2 scores right, and nobody else has this season. But I'm not going to bang on about that. That'd be ridiculous, wouldn't it? I've lost a piece of paper now. It gets worse.
If anyone listening or watching this thinks we have meticulous research and the preparation that goes into this, I think it's quite evident from this episode alone that none of that happened.
No, not for this edition, perhaps. Right, shall we do some predictions? Jake, you have yet to predict a City defeat this season, I notice. Neither of you, Lee, actually. There you go. Go on then, Jake. Chuck us a score.
I'm going to go 1-1.
That's a big fence. Lee?
I'm going to go 2-1 Saints.
Yeah, that's funny enough. I want to bet against the City win.
As a stop to the last 25 years, mate.
All right, then 1-0 defeat. Then, if you say that, okay, that's that sorted. And we're not going much time off, are we? Because 2 days later, we are popping across to Hertfordshire.
Big game
to face a previously mentioned Potters Bar Town. First ever league game between the 2 sides. Well,
if you want, Jacob, Isbian League Mill fruit, this is it, isn't it?
No, that's true.
Potters Bar Town away
on a Monday night. The 84 derby. Come on.
84 derby. They played 5 league games and haven't won yet, so our record looks stonking compared to theirs. They've only lost all their 3 games by 1 goal. But I'm not being wrong to Potters Bar Town, but St Albans City, Potters Bar Town, for us, it's a cup tie. but here we are. We are at the same level, and we've got to accept it. And we're going there level pretty much. We're not going to go as the big boys like Hitchin are treating us following Saturday in the FA Cup. We're going on equal standing, and so I think we're just going to roll them over. It's not going to happen because they've come to the park twice last season, thoroughly deserved both wins. I don't know. What about you, Lee? You confident we're going to get something out of this one?
I am confident. I'm extremely confident, more confident than I'm against for the Avey game. But what I would say this, Taz, is that St Albans City are at this level off our own making. So whilst you can go into a game, any game with fear or anticipation or excitement or whatever, but this is where we are, fellas. The mismanagement of seasons gone by, which we are now playing the likes of Aveley and Potters Bar Town. I think we were talking about this, Jake, not last week, the week before, how certain supporters think we are just going to get into the playoffs just because we're St Albans City. The name still means so much. The history is still there. The past players will always be spoke with the most amazing smile in our minds. But ultimately, where we are now as a club and now as a team is very much in the mire. If you're looking at it honestly, we're not attracting your Mariases and your Theophanuses and your Pipers and your Cockrams and all of these sort of star players who have graced the pitch in the past. No disrespect for the players who have chosen to wear the shirt this time around, I hasten to add. But we can no longer just expect to turn up to games like Potters Bar Town Tabs and win. We have to earn that right. And I think the players need to click. And as you say, the form, I think, will come because you've seen signs there. We've seen signs, not enough of them. Okay, I will reiterate. But I think there's something there, boys. But we have to earn the right to win these games. And there are no givens. But yes, I'm confident simply because the quality of the players we do have. And this is one of those games where I expect a good performance and a good result.
What about you, Jake? I think in their cup tie replay on Monday, they had, or Tuesday, Joe Ray sent off one of their most influential players. So I think it was a straight red. So he'll be out of it next week against us, which would do us no harm, you would have thought. So does that boost your spirit a bit?
Yeah, I think like Lee, I think I'm more confident going to Monday's game, but we shouldn't underestimate them. I think good things will be really good away following, I suspect, on Monday night. And the Saints, I mean, so much of it is dependent on Saturday's game, isn't it? But, I'm expecting the Saints there to go there and play positively against a Potters Bar team that, like us, hasn't set the league alight so far. But if we want to do anything this season, then these are kind of games we need to be targeting for victories. They've got Roddy Henry at the back, and we know he's always a fun time to come up against. So I'm sure that'll be an interesting challenge. Maybe him versus Alex Wall. That certainly promises some sparks, doesn't it? And they've also brought back Josh Hutchinson in the summer, who under previous spells at Potter has scored quite a few goals. So he might be sort of the main man in front of goal. But I think as long as we can, I think a perfect weekend would be a positive result on Saturday. And then that takes you into Monday's game when hopefully you can sort of do your work and come away with 3 points. I think lose Saturday and then suddenly that puts a different spin on Monday night's game, doesn't it? And then I think Saints fans maybe travel there with a little bit more anxiety than they'd like to.
Yeah, we've only met. That's not right. They didn't beat us twice last season. Of course not. We won it. We won the opening one when they outplayed us.
Yes.
Yes. We've only met them 3 times before. Hearts Charity Cup twice and Hearts Senior Cup once. The Hearts Senior Cup was the one they won last time. So there's no real history there between the clubs to look at. They've got a plastic pitch, haven't they? Yeah. I don't think that's a factor nowadays anymore. We play on it so often. I don't really think that's a factor. And I want to go along with you two and think we are going to get a favourable result there. Playing twice in 3 days again, I don't think that really comes against us. It's funny, last time we said in Culverhouse wouldn't play the 3 players in their mid-30s, Jamel Fifield, Alex Dyer and Michael Bostwick, and he did. He played them in both games over the bank holiday weekend. So with Bostwick back from suspension, one would expect him to go with his experienced lineup again, and with Alex Wall up front as well, who joins the 35-year-olds this month. We're not got the youngest team in the league.
No, age is purely a number, Dave. I'll tell you that.
Thanks very much.
Yeah. No, I think that I think I'd expect those faces to play in both games. I think the one question mark for me is actually Harrison Smith, his fitness and whether he can get those 2 games, because also Aveley have got a plastic pitch, haven't they? So again, how does he feature in these 2 games coming up potentially? That might be more of a question mark. So maybe Lee, will we potentially see Leo Seri come back in from the start either Saturday or Monday night?
Either that, or if Banton's fit, you just have Wall up front, and then you have Banton playing that 10 role or the more advanced attacker. I think that's probably a bit more likely, and then leave sort of Seri to come on as he has been doing the last sort of 20 minutes, half an hour to cause havoc. I probably think I think Wall's got his place now, and I think that when he first came in, he was unfit, no doubt. This season, though, he's added a different dimension to his game. Okay, he's not scoring goals, which is a problem. We're not shying over that, but I think he is assisting the team in other ways. But I think he needs, when he's knocking down, and you can see for a little bit of that on Saturday, Jake. He was trying to knock the balls down and sort of feed off, and Harrison was sort of trying to keep up with him, but it just wasn't working. Maybe Zane could do a better job even when he is fit.
So if Bostwick and Banton come back in on Saturday, as we expect, I think most people expect, who goes out? Troy Perez-Dewar, according to Johnny Siebert, when he was doing the radio commentary Saturday, he thought he was by far the best player in the cup that day, I think, anywhere. Well, certainly thought he had a good game Saturday. He thought it was our best player. Would he go out? And would Riley Scott, having just come back in for 1 game, would he go back out again as well?
I think it's probably more likely Smith will come out, Banton back in for Saturday, and then I wouldn't be shocked myself to see a change in midfield, but I don't know which one it'd be. And again, Perez-Dewar, I didn't think it was his greatest display at Aylesbury Vale Dynamos.
Right, okay. Shall we do some predictions?
Let's.
Right, Bartown away. You can go first this time, Lee. You're still to predict the defeat, and you're not going to by the sound of it now.
3-1 Saints.
Oh my goodness me!
Yes.
Where doesn't leave you a lot of wiggle room there, Jake.
No.
Say it.
No, not going to.
Say it.
Fine. 2-1 Saints. I don't have much confidence in a clean sheet at the minute, so I can't bank on one of those.
How about you, Tavs?
I actually think we'll win as well, but we can't have all 3 of us going for a win, so I'm forced into a corner and go for a 2-2 draw.
You can predict a win, mate. It's not against the rules.
Yeah, I got it last Saturday, and I got 1 right 2 games before, and you 2 haven't got 1 right at all this season, so I'll ignore that. What?
You're so humble, Dave.
He wasn't going to mention it, though, was he?
Nobody else would say it.
That's 3 times in the last half an hour. Brilliant.
Yeah, I think it's rather good. Right, I've been out all day, so some people left me messages, and I'm sorry I haven't picked them up. Have you 2 got anything extra to add to it?
No,
Lee?
No, not at all, mate. No.
I think one thing I do want to mention is the passing of John Lister last week, which I think John, he wasn't a young man, but I think it still caught a lot of us by surprise. We'd been seeing John at recent games, been speaking to him. I mean, Lee said something quite amusing to you last time you saw him. And it's just so sad to see him go. I think all the tributes on social media have been lovely to see from fans. Again, young and old. He was such a popular place around Clarence Park and around the city as well. His involvement was at St Peter's FC. Another side, his involvement with all these teams, the amount of faces, the amount of ex-City players that have come out from the 90s and early 2000s have said how much they loved him as a man. So, really, really sad news. And I think, again, caught a lot of us by surprise.
Yeah, you mentioned with St Peter's, his association with them, it was phenomenal. He played for them back in the 1960s. And after that, he practically run the club. He held every position with them. He did run that club. And then, you remember Peter Taylor, old historian with me. They were good friends, and he even persuaded Peter to fund them for a couple of years towards the end of our time. But John was also a Leeds United supporter, and he'd go up to there and see them during the season. Big cricket fan. He'd go off to Essex.
Yes.
Andy Hammond told me where they used to go. He even went to places like Bournemouth and Horsham, God knows where, following cricket. They loved it. Ian Anderson I spoke to the other day. He paid tribute to John as well for the work he would come in during the week and do around the club. Because John was also reserve team manager. I haven't seen the piece that the club put out, but I don't think he mentioned any of this at all. He was reserve team manager for a while. I believe he also ran the 100 Club. Well, I know he ran the 100 Club, but he was on the club's committee. And he was a volunteer who worked during the week. We had nothing else to do, John, did you? He did so much around the club. And for a while, we was good mate. Gordon Kennyford as well is now a steward down there. And Terry Edwards as well, but involved with him. Anyway, big loss. Really friendly player. God, I mean, my brother played for him about 45 years ago at St Peter's. It's one of those people. I was talking to Ray McCord about him the other day. If you're talking to John in the town, you could bet your bottom dollar your conversation being interrupted. God knows how many times, because people just walking by going, "Hello, John." They all know John, all through football, totally through football. It's football to the core, and that's it. He didn't mind moaning when things weren't right, which we don't do, of course.
That was the one thing though that often. So when I was working on the media team, he'd always sort of, we'd sit down together, have a cup of tea, and he'd basically just tell me what he thinks is wrong with the side or what is good with the side. He loved a good moan, but I tell you one thing. Honestly, he had the love of the club at his heart. He's pure as the day is long, and we had some cracking conversations. And he, as Jake said, he wasn't well maybe I think 2 years ago as well. But again, he's fighting spirit, and he's such an absolute stalwart of this club. And it was a surprise, Jake, because we only spoke to him last week, and it was extremely sad. But people like that make clubs like this. And I think it'd be very, very poignant for the club currently to remember that. To start being, it's okay to be a non-league club in quite a lot of ways. You haven't always got to be professional, because with that non-league element comes people like John Lister. And I think I hope that they mark the work he did for the club in some appropriate way.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jake. Before the kick-off at Aylesbury Saturday, there was a minute's silence, which apparently was for him. No announcement was made over the tannoy, so we thought it was, but it's unusual for a home club to do it for an away supporter or volunteer. So it would have been nice to have been told about it in advance, but that was good. Unfortunately, we're not going to have a home game for quite a long time, the way things are going, particularly if we beat Hitchin and get an away draw in the next round of the Cup. It could be even longer, but that's looking too far ahead. But even if the club can't pay a tribute to him, we know what he did. We know what a great person he was.
Yeah, he was. And I think the players wore black armbands at Aylesbury as well on Saturday. And it would love to see some sort of tribute, whatever it matters or whatever form it is, because, he did put so much time and a lot of money into this football club as well over a lot of years and supported the club. And Lee, I think your point about he basically summed up what non-league volunteers are and what they do and how much they mean to football clubs. So, I think from all of us, I think we want to say thank you, John, for all your contributions to the football club over the many, many years, and you'll be missed by all of us.
Most definitely.
Well, on that note, thank you all very much for watching and listening, and we'll speak to you again next week. Come on, you Saints. Bye-bye.